Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to make some custom resin sewing weights. I 3D printed this form and I'm going to cast it into silicone without any further treatment. I did go over it with a lighter once though to get the stringing and all that off, just to make sure that, these things don't get stuck in the silicone. The reason why I'm not really filling in or treating the sides is mainly just because I want some grip. When I get to sewing and I work with a lot of fabrics, my fingers tend to get dry, so anything with grip that isn't slick will be helpful. I chose this hourglass design just so I could grab my sewing weights whenever, and so I could grab them pretty easily. And it seems to have worked out so far. I actually tested them out on some projects and they're very comfortable to pick up and to use. And the cast worked really well, but of course I want to customize them. So I decided you can see through the last layer, clear layer on top, so I'm going to make some fun little designs. And I'm probably wanting to go with like 6 sewing weights in total. But today I'm just making 2. And to actually make them weighty, because although resin has its weight, it is not enough, I'm just using some ball bearings that I have in my stash. And these should be more than enough weight. You can actually use anything from nuts and bolts to screws to embed, as long as they don't poke out of the resin or anything too much and you don't either cut the fabric or yourself with any of them. You should be fine with whatever. But for the first design I'm going with this black background, and I want to make like a kind of galaxy-esque starry kite thing, so I'm also making this star sign, and I'm actually using epoxy for that. And then I wanted to try out transfer foam with tacky glue. So I know it will take a little bit to dry, and it actually took several days because of the plastic on top. But in the end, I was surprised on how well it worked. I had a couple points where it didn't quite adhere, but I guess that's just mainly because the glue seeped to the side. But yeah, pretty good results overall. So what I did is I just used a brush and applied a thin layer of glue again where those pieces were, and then I just, let that dry again for a couple of days. And there, of course, still were some spots, but yeah. At that point, that was totally okay and expected. I didn't really expect tacky glue to work as well as it did. Honestly, I thought it would just not work at all, but it did. But I guess any other glue that immediately sets, and as long as it doesn't touch the foil, it should work. I think even super glue would probably work pretty well. Although I'm quite curious if the gold leaf applying milk glue stuff would work, but again, I don't know where I have mine. Either way, as you saw, I kind of filled in all of the gaps with some paints, and I wanted to keep just a little bit of the galaxy effect. In the end, it kind of worked out, not as much as I hoped though, but I think in the future trying different glues will work out with this. I still think it will look pretty good. So I'm just applying some nail art stars and moons, the little thing that I made with epoxy, and then some tiny foil glitter stars, just to have some nice little shiny accents in there. And then it's resin time again, and I'm going with, of course, the clear resin so you can see things, but I'm also mixing in some glitters, and I wanted to try like a galaxy top swirl, so I used some inks in the hope that they wouldn't spread, and I used this like really pretty pink and this teal, and as you can see it spread all over. You cannot really see the pink, you can only see teal, and it just taken over everything. At this point I just embraced it, and I think it makes it look like the night sky a little bit. yes, you really cannot see the effect of the galaxy anymore, but you can see the glittery stars and all that. And I still think it looks really cute, nonetheless. I would have wished for the like tiny aurora like swirl to work, but I guess certain colors just like to spread out, especially certain parts of those colors. So yeah, it didn't quite work as well, but still think it's super cute. Although the colors seem to have reacted a bit weirdly with the resin, so the surface isn't as even. But that doesn't really bother me, as long as the rest of it is even enough to not damage my fabrics. I'm quite happy with it. I do have certain things where my print didn't turn out that well, and that's just because my nozzle was a bit dirty. So I'm gonna like sand them off later. But let's get on to the second one. I actually also made these epoxy fish that I basically just pressed into the mold and then I cut off the flashing. These are just the goldfish from the aquarium type things that Sophie and Toffee gave us. And I thought, you know, embedding some fish would probably be quite cute. But of course they need a nice splash of color that I hope will show through to the light blue resin that I'm going to use as water. So I'm basically painting the fin and like upper fin in a red and then gradienting it out with an orange, just to give it a little bit more diversity and contrast. And then I'm going in with a light orange for the body again, just a little bit with blending again to emphasize on the gradient. Since these are goldfish, I wanted to make them actually like look nice and gold, and the gradient, you know, gets a variety. Then I just added the eyes with my dotting tool, and then I used some gold paint over it. I didn't wait long enough for the eyes and painted over it a little bit, but that's totally fine. I just added them back again. And in the end, the like slight dry brush with the gold made them super shiny and so adorable looking. I'm glad I chose to go with the clay route instead of the resin route, because it's just much easier to paint and get certain other details. And for the base coat, I just decided to go with some sand. So I'm mixing a generous amount of that in the resin, and I have the hope that it will not sink to the bottom as much because of the ball bearings that I'm using. And I hope they will just displace it and the sand will sit on top. Also, when I'm adding these, I'm always making sure to like hit the edges with my little mixing knife here, just to make sure I get out all of the air bubbles and make sure it's quite even. But of course, fish need a bit of decoration, so I just used some craft glue to fixate this purple moss, some tiny, like, I guess pearl bead type of things into place, just to make it look a bit nicer, and then I added the fish. Just on some different heights to give it variation, and once this dries, the glue will be completely transparent and you will not be able to see it in the resin at all. And then of course it was time to add the resin, and for this one, as I said, I'm going to like dye my resin in a very, very light clear blue, just to make it look a bit more like water. And then I'm just making sure all of the air bubbles get out of the moss before I pour the rest in. And that's basically it. They actually popped out of the mold very easily, and because they're so grippy on the side, it worked out even better. As you can see, you can definitely still tell the colors of the fish, and they turned out super cute. But of course there's some more prep and cleanup before I can use these. So the first thing I want to do is make them less slidey. If I put them on patterns to hold them down, I want them to not slide around as much, and my choice fell onto just some normal craft foam. So I used some super glue, let that harden, and then went around with my scissors and just cut it. And then lastly, of course, I needed to file the rough edges a little bit more. This is more for myself than for the fabric, just so I can grab it. And of course I filed the sides a little bit of both of them. And with that, they're both finished. I think this is a very nice project, making custom sewing weights, because you basically can use any mold you want, you just have to add weights. Of course, because I can, I went with a custom mold that is easy to pick up and nice to work with. And so far they actually worked excellently. I didn't have any problems picking them up. They have the perfect weight for me to work with it, so they don't rip the pattern if I have to move it a bit, but they have enough to where it stays really nice and flat. But of course, I only have 2 so far, so let me know in the comments any design ideas you have. Already I'm working on the next set, so there's a plan, but I have still 2 more, maybe a 3rd one more that I'm gonna make. So put your ideas down in the comment if you have anything particular you want me to try out. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe got a little inspiration to make your own sewing weights or any weights that you might need with resin at all, you know, with your own custom designs and all that. And as always, I hope you have a great day. See you next time. Bye bye!